truth in. You keep flipping when you shoulda not flop. You keep leaving when you ought to be voting. Now it's work is work, but you ain't earned it yet. These boots are made for flipping, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, young Marco's gonna flip-flop-flip on you.
That was GOP presidential candidate Jeb Bush's super PAC, Right to Rise, releasing a new TV ad targeting Marco Rubio, making reference to Senator Rubio's changing stances on certain issues, as well as the new boots that Rubio has recently been wearing on the campaign trail. Joining us now, political pollster, Fox News contributor Frank Luntz, also joining the conversation, the Wall Street Journal's John Bussey. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. That's funny. So what do you think? Mr. Luntz, how does that go over?
First off, I want to know what Nancy Sinatra thinks. It's pathetic. It honestly is pathetic. And this is one of the challenges. Jeb Bush is so much better than his campaign. He's grounded in facts. He's grounded in substance. Honestly, I feel personally very sad for how he's been treated, because he arguably is the most qualified candidate. But when you run ads like that, you deserve your 4% poll numbers. Whoever's putting that stuff together, I'm sorry, but that's not what the Republicans want to see. It's not what they want to hear. It's not going to put a single vote from Marco Rubio to Jeb Bush. The Bush campaign ought to be ashamed of itself. They have got so much substance, and that's what they do. And by the way, we've tested ads like this. They don't work. People are trying to figure out what the heck this is. Others who've been alive, who are in their 60s, who remember when this song came out, are just listening to the song, and nobody will even know what the ad is about. That ad will get, for me, about a D, and Jeb Bush deserves better than what his super PAC is doing.
Guys, what do you think? I have to agree with Frank. I mean, I love that song, but I'm not.
Can I be shallow, Hal, for a second, okay? I think the thing is actually hysterical. I do agree with Frank that we need more substance in these sorts of things. But people are going to look at this thing. And 4 years ago, when the suitcases came out in the luggage rack and it said that Newt Gingrich had baggage, the stuff is effective. Whether we like it or we think it's shallow or not shallow, I think the stuff is effective.
It's substance, though. I mean, what did you take away from it? That he's a flip-flop and that he's got new boots.
Shallow Hal. I'm going to tell you, the boots are not going to play well, okay? And you know what? You know, short people have no reason to live, and I'm a short person. Don't be wearing boots like that.
Come on.
Don't be wearing boots like that.
Give me a break.
It's too early to be making fun of the guy's boots. I saw him and thought the Beatles wore them. Why can't Marco Rubio wear them?
All right, I did my best to try to defend the thing. Now I'm out, okay? Guys, you guys are overwhelming me. I did my best.
John Bussey, jump in here.
So let me change the topic from boots to two things that's kind of interesting to me that the Republicans and the Democrats have agreed on in the last couple of days. One, last night we heard both Obama and Nikki Haley, the Republican response, essentially denounce Trump. And my sense of it is that denouncing will probably have zero effect on the polls. But it's very interesting that both parties are now in the game on that. The other thing that they're doing is they're both attacking Wall Street. And if you're wondering how the economy is going to respond over the next few months, as bankers in this country watch both Democrats and the Republican Party, which is usually who they support, attack Wall Street and attack banks. I had breakfast yesterday with a big money manager, a big private equity guy, and he's looking at this and he's shaking his head and he's saying, look, we're just holding our powder because we're not sure which way regulation's going to go if the Democrats or the Republicans are elected now.
Come on, John, give me a break. You know that the Republicans are going to have all they're talking about is reining in regulation. They're not going to regulate more on top of what we've seen already. This is their campaign promise.
Yeah, now you would presume
Donald Trump doesn't like Wall Street, though.
Yeah, you'd presume that to be the case.
No, he's blasting away.
Yeah.
And pretty much all the other Republicans are as well at this point, Maria. You're right. I mean, the Republican Party is the party of Wall Street.
I think that's one of their campaign promises, to repeal Obamacare, to roll back some portions of Dodd-Frank, to get rid of the recent regulations that we saw on the EPA. So what regulations specifically are you talking about that the Republicans want to add on to what we've seen from the Obama administration, then, John?
The presumption would be nothing, right? At the same time, though, what you're hearing sort of in the rhetoric is this kind of unified attack of Wall Street, which is just interesting. It's an interesting kind of moment that the discussion of the economy, which has, as the President said last night, profoundly changed, is not about how markets in China and India have kind of plugged back into the grid, how jobs have migrated abroad. Instead, it's a very simplistic argument that it's Wall Street that's causing our problems. It was a financial crisis of 2008 caused by Wall Street that's now ricocheting through the economy. It's not the more sophisticated arguments. It's not the more in-depth discussion.
Because the Republican Party has changed. It's not the same Republican Party. It's now the Republican Party of small business.
Why are they attacking Wall Street, though?
Because
Frank,
nobody
you're
was
the expert. Why do they attack Wall Street?
Because nobody was ever held accountable for what happened in 2008 and 2009. Nobody went to prison. That you got to understand that particularly for these Trump voters, statistically, and viewers should know this, the average Trump voter has a $20,000 family income below the voters from the other political parties. They're much more likely to be working class. They're much more likely to be in their 50s and 60s, either heading towards retirement or in retirement. And they look at Wall Street as being corrupt. They look at it as being all about big business. The Republican Party has changed. It is going through a metamorphosis right now. It is no longer the party of the suits and the 3 martini lunches. It's now the party of mom and pop and Main Street does not like Wall Street.
I know, but what I'm talking about is regulation in particular. Like, for example, every candidate on that stage is talking about tax reform being the #1 piece of, a priority on their agenda. So how can you equate Hillary Clinton with the Republican candidates and say that they are exactly the same on what they're going to do with regulation when they're all talking about tax reform?
I'll let the Wall Street Journal reporter.
Yeah, I think you're right, Maria. Nobody is equating the two, but it creates a dissonance. It creates a confusion. It creates an uncertainty, and that's a part of what's informing the business community at this point. They're not sure what to do. The banks are looking at this and they're saying, how do we now attack this? And they're asking their trade associations to get out front.
And they're doing a bad job at it.
Yep.
Let's face it. Big business in America had a chance to challenge Donald Trump 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 3 months ago. They never did. Now they're going to suffer for it, and they may really suffer big time come next month.
How would they have challenged them, though? How would they have challenged them? I know you got to wrap, but how would they have challenged them, Frank?
In a word, accountability.
Okay.
Gentlemen, thank you.
You bet.
Frank Luntz, John Bussey. We'll be right back.